Summer Kids Crafts. This program was made possible by Harris County Public Library and Lone Star College Sci-Fair Library.
Hi guys! Welcome! I'm so glad you're here. It's craft time. I'm Miss Lucy, and in this episode, we're going to learn a little bit about birds, listen to a story, and make a craft.
This garden is a habitat for birds. A habitat includes 5 needs: water, food, shelter, air, and a safe place to raise young.
We're on our way to look at my bird bath, but I just wanted to take a moment and show you this Mexican sunflower. Isn't it gorgeous? Planting Mexican sunflower is a great way to attract pollinators to your garden.
Birds need water just as much as we do. Drinking water helps keep them healthy. Birds use water for bathing as well as cooling off on hot summer days. It's important to protect the creatures in our habitat from pesticides. Many birds enjoy fruit in their diet, like these cedar waxwings. Let's don't forget the hummingbirds, who enjoy plants full of nectar. Birds also love seed-producing plants, like this black-eyed Susan. Native plants are an important part of this habitat.
These are my 5 favorite things to feed birds. We have black oil sunflower seeds, cracked corn, fruit, whole peanuts, and shelled peanuts. Both of the peanuts do not have any salt added to them. That's very important when you're feeding birds. They don't need any salt. For the black oil sunflower seed, I like a tube feeder like this one. It's very easy. When feeding birds grapes or whole peanuts, I prefer a swing feeder. Many birds prefer not to perch when they're feeding, so a swing feeder is more like a platform, and it makes them feel more comfortable. It's really easy to fill. You just pour in your whole peanuts and pour in your grapes. And after that, you can suspend it from a shepherd's hook or a tree branch. And the mockingbird loves the grapes, and the blue jay is very fond of the whole peanuts. When feeding birds shelled peanuts, I like to use a wire mesh feeder like this one. It's easy to fill. You just remove the top and pour your peanuts in. And then you can suspend it from a tree branch or a shepherd's hook. Creating a habitat for birds means also giving them a place to raise their young or their babies. This is a wren's nesting box. A wren is a very tiny bird, so this box is also not very big. The hole where the bird would enter is really small. So each nesting box is unique to the bird that's going to nest there. When picking a nesting box out, it's a good idea to pick one that has a way to clean it. So when the bird is done raising their young, you can clean it and get it ready for the next inhabitants. This one has a little door on the bottom that opens up so you can clean it. A long time ago, in a land far, far away, there lived a beautiful young girl, and her name was Thumbelina. Now it is true that Thumbelina was as beautiful as she was kind. Thumbelina was born in a flower, and she was very tiny. The smallest of things seemed huge to her. Our story begins the winter when Thumbelina was living under a toadstool. Mrs. Field Mouse had happened along and saw Thumbelina and realized she was starving. "Oh, you poor little dear! You must come back to my house with me." "Thank you, thank you." And so Thumbelina and Mrs. Field Mouse went back to her burrow. Mrs. Field Mouse had a lovely home in the ground, filled with wonderful things to eat. Thumbelina was so grateful to Mrs. Field Mouse for her hospitality. So when Mrs. Field Mouse asked Thumbelina to help her clean her burrow, she was happy to do so. Each day when they finished cleaning, they would sit by the stove and drink a cup of tea. They became friends. One day after they had finished cleaning, Mrs. Field Mouse made an announcement. "Today we will have a visitor." It just so happened that Mrs. Field Mouse had a very wealthy neighbor, Mr. Mole. "On this day each week, Mr. Mole comes to visit me. Mr. Mole has a very large home filled with food and many underground tunnels." Mr. Mole had dug a very long tunnel so that he could come visit Mrs. Field Mouse. On his visits, they often sat and drank tea together. After one of his visits, Mr. Mole invited Thumbelina and Mrs. Field Mouse back to his house for dinner. The two followed Mr. Mole down his tunnel. Suddenly, Thumbelina couldn't believe her eyes. It was a complete bird with wings, tail, head, and a beak. A swallow had fallen through the roof and lay in the middle of the tunnel with a broken wing. "Ah, poor little bird." "Pay no attention to that bird. He has a broken wing and will soon die." "Oh, but he's not dead yet." "It's cold and he has no food. He will soon die." So Mr. Mole and Mrs. Field Mouse ignored the bird and hurried down the tunnel. Thumbelina began to stroke the bird's feathers. She was worried about the hurt bird. Thank you for being such good listeners. We're going to end our story here. As listeners, you decide what will happen next. Should Thumbelina continue down the tunnel to Mr. Mole's home, or should she try to help the injured bird? If she does help the bird and he recovers, what will happen next? Please leave your ideas in the comment section below. And remember, be creative. That's all the time we have left for today. I want to thank you so much for watching. But before we go, I want to show you this gorgeous zinnia. Look at the size. Please keep reading this summer. Follow the link below to learn more. I'll see you in the next one.